said he's just a friend.
Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new edition of Getting Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. I am Virtue, being joined by the man himself, former WCW Hardcore Champion, Tag Team Champion, Big Vito LaGrasso. What's up?
How's it going, everybody? It's the BIGV from the LOG, coming to you from the 813, just coming to you from the Country Club, and sporting these, baby. Look at this. Look at this. Ah, yeah. I've been saying it's coming in, and the diet is coming in. Jacked, racked, stacked, and we're ready to roll. You know, I've been telling you about this. This is going to be 5 months on this diet. 5 months I've been covering myself, but now it's starting to come out. And guys, we got some big things happening. We have some good things happening for myself and for the Big Vito brand, but mostly for myself. You know, possibility, and I don't want to say everything is in the works. Wrestling, movies, guys, let's go hand in hand. Looking good. Face and skin is in shape. As you can tell, when you're ripped and stripped, you're looking good. And when you're at the pool in your Speedo and you're the talk of the town, you know you're looking good. Virtue, go ahead. I know Adam Riff ain't got nothing on me this week.
No, he's too busy out in the snow and taking nature hikes and nature pictures. We know his whole shtick.
You know, but, I love you, baby. I love you. Go ahead and run no DQ. Sickening.
Aaron Riff. What are we going to do with him? We're just going to keep teasing him until he becomes a man again and joins the boys.
You know what? You know what my thing is right now? Now, for all the people in No DQ, I want you to know that I'm not going to bury him. I'm just going to put beautiful and lovely and all these great things. I'm not even going to say anything because, like, you know, the chick is pretty. What's her first name?
Oh, Caitlin,
that's right. Caitlin is probably a very nice girl. She has no clue what it's like in the wrestling business. So I'm not gonna bury Adam Ripp in his relationship, and him being in love, and him moving from a nice, you know, lofty bachelor pad to some cold ass friggin', you know, cabin in the woods, you know, where he's got, you know, a heater by logs. I'm not gonna say anything, but we're just going to keep it on the positive, people. We're going to keep it on the positive. And I know some people in the No DQ because I know a couple of your panel members have gotten a little, you know, butthurt over some of my comments. But, hey, you know, it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. But, Virtue, we talked about having backdrops and looking professional, and these guys look like they're coming out of the woods. What's going on with No DQ?
It's the Aaron Riff way, man. He makes everybody else look just mediocre so he can look like a champion. That's that. I mean, besides me, obviously, but it's the Aaron Riff way.
Oh, and you know, for the guys on No DQ who are listening to this, I just want to tell you something, okay? When I say things, I say it for a reason, right? Now, you have Virtue. He is my co-host. He has been my man. He is the guy who brings talent to the table. He works for the Big Vito brand. He does things here. We promote his stuff. When I see him look on an unprofessional level, I mention it to him, and he knows this, and I say it very delicately. But if the people he's associating with don't have backdrops and it look like they're in mom's basement, it only brings down the product. We're trying to bring up the product. So, guys, when you're looking at this and I say things, don't take it to heart. I'm only trying to better you to be more professional. So please look at it in that light, you know, and don't take it to heart. Because I see all the hate. Yeah, Big Vito picking on me. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh, my God. Guys, it's in a professional manner because I don't want my guy to look on the C level. I want him to be on the A level. If you
Noted. Well said.
Totally good. All right. Virtue, I know you're the man with the plan. I know you got some things you want to talk about. Why don't you hit us up with some of the topics we got for this week?
Okay, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter awards for 2020, which is basically Dave Meltzer and all of his top minions, and you know the agenda, the bias. And I'm fine with them having their own awards, right? But
Right.
here's the thing: they chose Tony Khan as promoter booker of the year. Okay, for them, I pointed out on Twitter, and it got a lot of traction. All the good things WWE did in terms of Vince McMahon promoting and booking, because we give Vince a lot of crap for a lot of the things that he doesn't do right. But look at WWE; they're still professional. He still is able to sell his brand and product and get network deals like they got with Peacock. And I think Vince McMahon was the best promoter during the pandemic because of everything WWE did. I'm not saying it was all great, but Tony Khan, and then the fact, Vito, that every award that this Dave Meltzer newsletter put out, 80% of them were somebody or something from AEW, and AEW is actually acknowledging it. Would Vince McMahon and WWE ever acknowledge anything that they haven't created, like those slammies, like, right? I just don't know what to me, this is simply catering to a niche fan base, and they're not willing to grow. What is your take on this? Tony Khan, Wrestling Observer Newsletter, Booker, Promoter of the Year.
Well, congratulations to him. It's probably his first award. Dave Meltzer, who has probably been in and out of the good graces of the WWE for several years. Not to say that he's a lousy analyst, journalist, a promoter of his network. It goes up and down just like everything else. Him choosing Tony Khan as the best promoter. Now let's look at the dollars and cents here, guys. Vince McMahon, yes, he has had his ups and downs. Has he produced crap? Yes. Has he tried to produce good things? Absolutely. Did he score a $200 million deal by selling the network, if I'm correct? Was it
Yep.
200 million or 2 billion?
Well, it was $1 billion. It was almost $1 billion over 5 years. It's like 200 to 250 million a year.
All right,
To have the network on Peacock, which is NBC Universal.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. If you're talking about from a promoter standpoint, right? He made a coup of a deal. Has Tony Khan made that kind of money with AEW? I'm not saying the product that they're putting out. I'm just looking at business dollars and cents. Has he made that kind of money? I'm not knowledgeable to say yes or no, but from what the press releases say, no.
Not even close, Vito. You're right. Not even close.
Not even close.
I think AEW has lost money because of the pandemic.
Okay. If it wasn't for Vince McMahon and his connection to Donald Trump and getting a pass from Governor DeSantis in the state of Florida and the WWE donating $18 to $17 million in the Trump Foundation to get them to be essential workers during the pandemic, that opened the door for Florida wrestling being able to be essential during this past year.
Which, yeah, and AEW was under that umbrella because they're in Jacksonville.
Right. So Tony Khan didn't invest in any money, but he rode Vince McMahon's coattails into being able to present his product. As far as storylines and what goes on, if you're looking at AEW, they have been winning the ratings war. They have been beating NXT. Have they beaten Raw? No. Have they beaten SmackDown? No. Have they been trying to sell the stars and bring the guys from the past back into drawing? Yes. On Wednesdays, there's only 1.5 million viewers, And the AEW has been scoring the victory repeatedly week after week. Now, I am not saying I hate Vince, I hate Tony, but I'm just looking at it as an overall view of what's going on. They signed Sting, which was something great. Now, they just signed the Big Show, right? You don't know where it's going, but most likely Shaq versus Big Show. That's the match people want to see. Now, with the Big Show signing, and I'm going to say this on Getting Color, and I'm going to say it here first. Guys, I am going to predict The Undertaker will sign with AEW, and people will get the Sting versus Undertaker match at AEW.
Wow, you're going to go bold there. Is this because Paul White's there? Like, what's your reasoning behind you thinking Undertaker's going to go there? The most loyal guy to Vince McMahon for the last 30 years.
Now, Paul White, being a businessman, he wasn't under contract with WWE. He's able to make money someplace else. The Undertaker is not under contract with the WWE.
Does he have did either one of them have Legends contracts?
I don't believe so. But a Legends contract is not a contract to go out and wrestle. So having a Legends contract is one thing. Having a performance contract is another. Now, guys, remember, if Paul White can go and sign with the AEW, be a commentator, what's to say the biggest megastar of the past 20 years can't go to AEW and have that match with Sting? That's just like when Ric Flair signed with AEW. I mean, Impact.
Impact.
Right? So when you have Ric Flair going to Impact, that was shock. Sting went to Impact. Booker T went to Impact. Christian went to Impact. Now you're talking everybody following suit. So all the guys who are not under contract with the WWE, Kane does not have a contract with the WWE. What's to say Kane can't go there and have a match with Sting? We haven't seen that either. What's to say Christian can't go to AEW and have a match with Sting? Sting obviously is in the wrestling business and he's taking bumps, and he's going to do this with guys he trusts. He is doing this regulated and with some smarts. Guys, this is why Dave Meltzer, who I have nothing against, we've butted heads, right? But if he's going to promote Tony Khan, and Tony Khan is going to pave the way for him to get the inside scoop, it makes sense for him to be there and promote this. So for him to win the award as Promoter of the Year, I understand it. Tony Khan has nothing against WWE. And the one thing I get that is bad is when guys like Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes and some others say, we can co-promote with WWE. Guys, you want to be your own product. You want to be your own entity. You want to be your own entrepreneur. You don't want to go in the backyard of somebody else who you left because they didn't think you were worthy enough to be great. So why promote it? Stick with Impact. Do what you're doing. Can you imagine if Undertaker was to appear on Impact?
Well, I don't think that's never going to happen on Impact.
That's a long shot and a half. But
that's the longest shot there. I mean, AEW, I'll give you some merit there because Big Show went, but Impact, ugh.
Brock Lesnar is not under contract, guys. What's to say he can't go there?
It all depends on how much money that Tony Khan's dad's letting him spend on this tax write-off known as wrestling. That's, I mean, seriously, because he is playing with his action figures in the basement. That's how I look at Tony Khan. I just don't see growth because I don't see growth. I see contentment that we're on TV. Dave Meltzer's promoting us. Oh, we're going to acknowledge those fake awards. I don't see growth like a true business would want. I see he's just happy to be there, to be in the wrestling business. That's my take on Tony Khan.
That's your take. But let's not insult the man, because if he was to say, "Hey, Virtue, we like you. We see what you're doing with the Big Vito brand. We see what you're doing with No DQ. Hey, listen, would you like to come on board?" Would you knock him then if he was going to pay you $52,000 a year to be a journalist for AEW? Would you knock it?
I would decline that. I would decline that. I would, if he came at me with like Vince Russo type WCW booking writing money and wanted me to be on creative, then I would be saying, "I'm sorry, Tony, you're the man, you're the man." But again, that's why a lot of people. But I mean, seriously, dude, I'm not going to sit there and like be goo goo gaga over this guy if I don't think that it just something seems off with it. And he's already on camera now. He can't help himself. He wants to play wrestler too. That's
right. I get it. But none of the big companies have offered Virtue a contract. This is what I'm saying. Now, hold on. And I'm not taking nothing away from you. But if they came to you and said, you haven't put asses in the seats, we're bringing you up to the A level, right? So you mean to tell me as a first-year guarantee, we want you to work 1 or 2 days a week for AEW. We want you to be an announcer, a journalist. We want you to write about our product for $1,000 a week in your spare time. How could you say no?
Well, now that's changed from $52,000 for an annual salary to spare time money. Spare time money, I definitely consider it because I wouldn't be tied if I went there and was miserable. I wouldn't be tied to it. So that, to me, that's a different ball game. Then I would entertain it. But I'm one of those guys, Vito. I still speak my mind, and if people respect that, I mean, don't respect it or respect it. So that, Russo always said that's one thing Vince McMahon liked about him. Russo spoke his mind to Vince. He did it in a polite way. He didn't disrespect him. But if he thought something was crap, he'd tell Vince. And if Vince still decided to do it, he still did it. But I don't know. And I've studied that. I've had conversations with Russo. So I'm looking at it from that mentality. If you don't think something's good, don't yes man it. Don't be the Bruce Pritchard to Vince McMahon.
We got 19998 says AEW sucks, right? I gave you a plug. Bits for tits. Drop a few bucks in a can. You know what I mean, guys? Let's go on to another subject.
All right.
You have action-packed stuff. What else you got for me this week?
Do you want to save more detailed talk about the Big Show till the end since you already brought him up, or do you want to do that now?
Let's do the Big Show at the end because I got.
Okay, so let's go to this. AEW, WWE. I just saw these two guys on the Indies over the weekend. I didn't see him live, but based on the internet. Big Cass is back, looking jacked. Hopefully his head is on right. And Enzo, who's always stayed in shape, they showed up at some little indie event that was recording something for Impact, the brand of Impact Wrestling. And I'm telling you what, these guys, they need to be a team. And we know the thing is, when they were in WWE, they broke them up too soon. And I think it's because they had some backstage egos about them. But they were drawing people's interest. Their quarterly hour numbers were up in the ratings. They were top 2 and 3 in merch. But that's Cass and Enzo. We all know what happened with Enzo. They ended up releasing him, and the guy did nothing wrong. Dude, these two guys are sports entertainers. And wrestling right now, during the pandemic, they need eyeballs. They need people, and that can draw. And look, 205 Live was somewhat of a thing when Enzo was there, Vito. They were even thinking about doing house shows with them, featuring Enzo as the headliner. And now 205 Live is like nothing. So these two men, I think they need to be a package deal. And again, we don't even know if Enzo wants to be in the wrestling business. They would all take a big contract. You know that. But AEW, WWE, I would love for one of these companies to sign them. And if the diehard fans hate it because Enzo and Cass can't work, then you got yourself two great heels. We've talked about them before, but when they pop back up and they look jacked, heads on straight, Vito, what's your take right now? Are these guys going to be signed by either major company this year?
Guys, Enzo and Kaz together, their entrance alone is worth the price of admission. They're just waiting for them to do their entrance is what you want to see for 5 minutes. I loved it. I thought they were great. The merchandise they sell, not everybody's a great wrestler, and not everybody's a great, a great grappler. Enzo tried. Big Cass, if you're listening or you hear anything or people share this with you, I hope everything is cool with you. I hope your head's on straight. I seen your tape. Your body looks in shape, but we need your mind to be in shape. And if you can get that straight, my man, you're gonna go straight to the top. I wish you the best of luck. And if there was a way that Big Vito LaGrasse can come back as the Mafia boss for Enzo and Kaz, I think that would be an awesome threesome because it would draw money. And we don't have an Italian faction. And I think that would work in today's society and on AEW TV. Now, if we went back to the WWE and they did it, of course it would be an instant success. It's established. The fans will go crazy. And if you put the tag straps on those guys could be the new what was I can't think of it. Kofi Kingston, Big E.
Oh, the New Day.
New Day. They could be the new. They could be the New Day for the next 2 years. It's simple, but you know what? You gotta look at guys' mindset and what they're thinking, how they're acting. And it sucks that you have to say you need a caretaker for guys, but if you had somebody like myself saying, "Okay, guys, got to keep our heads straight. Need a manager." Vito, this is your responsibility. Take care of Enzo and Kaz. Make sure they fly straight. And you know what? I would make sure they fly straight, and I would make sure that we get on the same team because nobody have to be in charge of people. But this is the way you used to do it back in the day, guys. And sometimes you need that guy.
Entertaining. They're very entertaining, Vito. They deserve one more chance on the big stage.
They're awesome. They're great. I think their stuff is terrific. But they just need to be on that straight line. The rest,
and they need to be together because that's when they had their most success.
I don't think Cat. And this is nothing against Big. He hasn't established himself. He's been more out of the business than in the business. I think he needs to establish himself and be a tag team. And he's the guy who needs a mouthpiece, just like Roman Reigns, just like Brock Lesnar, just like Bobby Lashley. He's that guy. He is not a singles guy.
We'll see what happens. Maybe they end up in Impact. I mean, it's something affiliated with Impact. So
exactly, if they do wind up in Impact, guys, I hope they can draw money and then they do house shows and they go on pay-per-view and they work their way up. But if you're talking about them guys being superstars from the beginning, it's not happening. They got to rebuild their credibility. Rebuild their credibility to the public.
So very interesting. We'll definitely stay up to date on them and see what happens this year. It's just good to see Big Cass back after what happened a year or two ago with him having a mental breakdown. All right, Vito. Bobby Lashley looks like he's getting pushed into the main event, which is about time. He could very well be the WWE champion after Raw tomorrow. He's going to be facing The Miz, who cashed in the Money in the Bank after the Elimination Chamber match that Drew McIntyre retained it in. Obviously, Lashley came out, beat up Drew. That allowed The Miz to come out to win the title, shock everybody, because they thought Miz would cash it in and lose and be a scapegoat, be the guy that makes something a triple threat and takes the pinfall. Here, Miz has held that title now for over a week. We'll see what happens. Maybe the match tomorrow night kind of gets thrown out and they set up another match or a triple threat with Drew somehow at Fastlane. You know how they do before Mania. But what's your take on The Miz becoming two-time Grand Slam champion? That means he's won the titles enough to make that 2 times. And Bobby Lashley's push, who looks like an absolute freak of nature.
Guys, The Miz being champion is good for business. The Miz is legit. He's a former world champion. He's Drew McIntyre, no matter how hard he tried, just didn't cut it as a believable world champion. He didn't have the it factor. They should never have changed him to a babyface. They should have left him heel, but they did what they did, and they knocked him out of the box. The guy wasn't natural being a babyface, guys. I'm sorry to say. And he just didn't carry the ball. He doesn't have the it factor. The Miz is an established star who deserves the shot. The Miz is not going to be a transitional champion. He is not going to be the guy to carry it. He didn't cash in just to cash in for a week. It's not how it works. Miz is going to keep the title. Bobby Lashley is going to have a falling out with MVP and the rest of his entourage. Bobby Lashley is going to wind up turning babyface.
Well, it's an interesting take. I'm going to play the safe route and say that I don't know if it'll happen tomorrow or it'll, linger to Fastlane. But I just have this sneaking suspicion that for WrestleMania it will be Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. Don't know who will have the title, but I think Bobby Lashley will be the champion going in, defending it against Drew.
Guys,
but you're just because I'm playing it safe. I'm playing it. What would they do? Right? That's
guys.
Not going out on a limb.
You want to know something? I think that Miz will carry it to WrestleMania. I think we're going to have a surprise entry into WrestleMania. And the match we haven't seen is Brock.
Don't say Bad Bunny.
No. The match we haven't seen is Brock Lesnar versus The Miz for the title. And The Miz is the ultimate babyface in this match. And if The Miz, having the fight of his life against Brock Lesnar, people would buy into it. You heard it here first.
Hot take, Vito. Well, don't worry. That's why we're a team, and I'll make sure I cover the other end. So no matter what happens tomorrow and or through Fastlane, between the two of us, we got the scenarios covered.
All right. Next
subject. Ready? Now, this is a question I got on Twitter throughout the week from Mr. Christopher Yuck or Yuk, Y-U-K-K. I don't know how he says it, but that's how it looks like. But he asked you specifically. He asked me too. I'm going to defer to you.
Okay.
What was it that drew you into the professional wrestling business? Were you inspired by superstars, wrestlers in the past? We know you went to Johnny Rod's, but that's basically what he asked. And I'm going to throw that one to you.
All right, guys. Here's my answer, and this has been a standard answer. This is the God's honest truth. My first love was basketball. I was a baller. I was a basketball player. I played basketball in Madison Square Garden in high school. I was scouted by Division I colleges. I had that good of a game. My grades weren't that good. I didn't go to Division I. I went to a community college. I wound up trying out for the Olympic baseball team. Okay. I tried out as a utility player because I said, you know what? Let me try out at every position, but nobody did it. They wound up taking a hometown guy from Utica, and they made him. He was a second baseman. Wasn't very good, but they took him. They had a lefty there who was throwing bullets at 97 miles an hour. He didn't make it, right? And I was like, how the hell did that guy didn't make it? That guy was phenomenal. So when I went back to Staten Island, it was semi-pro football. They said, hey, Vito, we want you to play semi-pro football. And I was like, all right. And it was like $100 a game. They were just starting out. It was the Staten Island Bulldogs. So I was like, and then I says, I was watching wrestling. I've always been a wrestling fan. I was watching wrestling when I said I could do better than these guys. I went to Johnny Rod's school. I went 3 times. I was working for a steamship company called K-Line. I was a rates analyst. Guys, I worked on the 99th floor of the World Trade Center. I was in business meetings. I was on my way up, and I fell in love with wrestling. And then I became good, and I started training. And history, it is what it is. But it wasn't anybody who inspired me. I was destined to be a pro athlete. I just didn't find my niche. And you know what? Sometimes your dreams don't come true of being a baller and doing all your stuff when you need it to be. But I can't complain about my wrestling career. I'm very humble for what I've done, and I'm very gracious for the things I've accomplished and the people I've met. And I wouldn't be sitting here with Virtue today if I didn't accomplish these great things. I have a lot of things coming up, actually, and We're going to be announcing them soon. So, guys, just look out. And, if you have a dream, guys, live it. If you got something on your bucket list, do it. It's the best thing I could tell you. If you want to live in the sunshine and be at the pool and live in the, for me, I always wanted to live on a beach and live in Florida and do my thing. Well, I'm almost there, guys. I'm almost at the beach. But,
and for me, it's simple. I've only got to the indie level, but Bobby Heenan and doing the manager stuff, that to me was my inspiration. Exactly. And so even me being able to do it at a small level, just enough, and then talk about wrestling and talking about minds of wrestling with people like you, Vito, that I feel fulfilled with that. But anyway, great answer, Vito. I knew you'd deliver.
It's all good, and thank you for asking the question. I greatly appreciate it. You know what? And guys, let me tell you something. If you weren't living in Florida, you wouldn't be doing with these, baby. Yeah.
You're ready for TV. Dude, like I know you in the past you talked about you, Nyla Rose, Vicky Guerrero, and all that. Now that we see Enzo and Cass back on TV, I don't even care if it's Impact Wrestling. Let's get Vito with them and make this team an attraction on a major promotion. I mean, what's anybody waiting for? Tony Khan, Vince McMahon, Triple H, Tommy Dreamer, whoever's in charge of Impact, Don Callis, any of those people over there. Get these guys on TV.
Exactly.
Main event. All right, finish. Big show is in AEW. Paul White. I guess he's going to be doing some color commentary on one of their YouTube shows, and he's going to be used as a special feature attraction for pay-per-views, like you said, probably against a Shaq at some point. 22-year veteran with WWE left. This kind of shocked the world and signed with AEW. Any final thoughts on Paul White?
Guys, the inside scoop might be it could be a work and it could be doing something and fluctuating talent. That could be one thing. But the second thing is Paul White didn't have a contract. He got a contract. He's looking to make money. They have a match with Shaq that could possibly be happening. If Big Show lost to anybody in that company one-on-one, it would be a farce. Nobody would believe it. He should be world champion just for him being that big, right? So this brings us to this. They've been egging for Christian. They brought in Sting. They signed Paul White. My prediction is, you heard it here on Getting Color. You heard it from Vito LaGrasso with Virtue as the co-host. Guys, you are going to get Sting versus The Undertaker in AEW. It's going to happen. It's going to happen because The Undertaker's not under contract. He's a free agent. And what better way to go make yourself relevant again is to go have the match of a lifetime. That will draw. People will come to see it. People will go to look at it. People will buy it. Sting, Undertaker. That is just like Hogan, Flair. Guys, it's there for the taking. You might even see Kane make an appearance. Kane's not on the contract. Guys, you heard it here first. I'm Getting Color with my co-host, Virtue.
You doubled down on that, man. You said it earlier in the show. You said it in the main event. I was giving you time to see if you change your mind, but Vito. Vito loves the hot takes. And then if they do happen, oh boy, we're never going to hear the end of it. So, Vito, 33 minutes, baby. You want any last thoughts? What's on Vito's mind? And we'll close the show.
All right, guys. Listen, I just want to thank everybody for joining us here on Getting Color. We've been doing this show for a few years. Guys, come to patreon.com/the Big Vito brand. A lot of good content there. Then we have Switch TV./the Big Vito brand. Guys, go hit the subscribe button. Come to us. Go to Virgin.
Do you mean Twitch?
Huh?
Do you mean Twitch?
That's what I said, Twitch.
Oh, I thought you said Switch.
No, I want you to switch.
Like the video games with the Nintendo Switch. Okay.
Switch off of Aaron Riff stuff and come to us. And Caitlin can come aboard. We always have a job for Caitlin because we actually do like her here. Anyway, guys, listen. Thank you very much for being a part of us. Noel appreciates you. Virtue appreciate you. I appreciate everybody here. All the people in the No DQ forums. Thank you for watching our product. We greatly appreciate it. We have been trying to get Aaron Riff to change his recording days so I can appear with the panel again. I I think it would be awesome. It would bring up ratings, and hopefully it'll be cool. Catch me on the Vince Russo brand. We got Mr. versus Mrs. We got our Patreon stuff. We got a lot of good things happening. Virtue, close the show. I got you, man.
Gosh, you got a lot in. You're making it easy for me right now. Follow Vito on Twitter at the Big Vito Brand. Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. This will be on Anchor. This will be on Twitch. This will be on NoDQ.com. This has been Getting Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. For Big Vito, I'm Virtue. See you next time.
Please stand by for an important announcement from Big Vito LaGrasso and the Big Vito Brand.
Yo, Big Vito is back on Patreon. That's right, patreon.com/the Big Vito Brand. All new shows, all new behind-the-scenes footage, all new photos. Join up today, the Big Vito Brand family on Patreon. Here is your exclusive sneak peek.
This is Big Vito LaGrasso, and I'm going to take your ass to class. Wrestling 101 with Big Vito.
This is an exclusive on Patreon brought to you by the Big Vito Brand.
Welcome, everybody. How are you doing today? It's the BIGB from the LOG that I need to. Today, we are going to talk about heels and baby faces. Now, some of the things that they don't teach you in wrestling, like in the schools and everything, is how do you carry yourself in the public, right? Now, if you are in a territory or you are portraying yourself as a deadly, kick-ass, gonna beat the crap out of you heel where you don't like women, children, babies, you just one kick-ass son of a bitch.
For full episodes and much more, become a supporter of the Big Vito Brand on Patreon.